Hi all, I wasn't even going to do a video today, but there's just been so much news I felt compelled. So I'll get away with it. I actually haven't been feeling great. I mean, it's lying down sleeping for a major portion of the day. It feels very decadent, but I'm just, my energy levels are really low. So I actually had some tea, medicinal tea, which is a combination of ginger and lemon. And that tends to pick me up. I don't know why. It's a fairly volatile mix, I guess. So yeah, but anyway, the first item on the agenda regarding news is the lack of opportunity for people who are Aussies overseas getting back to Australia. There's a cap of 4,000 people per week because of the limitation on the quarantine beds available in hotels. Now, I just personally find that absolutely ridiculous as an argument, because the people that are coming back are actually asked to pay for all this themselves. So it's not a drain on the government's finances. So why can't they just increase the numbers of rooms available? There's plenty of empty rooms in hotels in Australia at the moment. So I just don't understand that. And they've actually increased the number from by 2,000 from 4,000 to 6,000 Australians that can come home at the moment. But I think this is just absurd, the way the federal government's handling the overseas situation with travel. Again, remember that Morrison, in his wisdom, has decided to not allow any Aussies to go overseas unless they get permission, which is the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. This is supposed to be a Liberal government cutting through bureaucracy. Well, they've just added another layer of it by making sure that you have to put an application in for a permit, which apparently takes quite a bit of time to be processed. So it's an absolute pain in the ass. I want to go back to Vietnam as soon as Vietnam opens its borders. I'm an adult. I should be able to make my own decisions. I don't need the Morrison nanny state to tell me I can't travel. And if I have to do some bullshit quarantine when I return and pay for it out of my own pocket, well, so be it. We'll just, you know, maybe they should get people to pay up front for it if that's the real reason behind it. But I don't know what the agenda is with the federal government. And this is one area, actually, I agree with what the Labor's saying, which is a very rare situation, I might add. But both Albo and Christina Keneally, who I'm not a big fan of, have said that, look, why not just allow Australians to come back with RAAF jets? If they're not full of people, at least it provides an opportunity for getting more and more Aussies back home. And I think that's a good idea. I mean, if the planes are there, Morrison has his own private jet, which is a refurbished RAAF jet, his equivalent of Air Force One, I guess. And you know, I think his plane and the rest of them should be used for that. I think it's a very good idea, because apparently it's very hard for people to get back to Australia because there's lots of cancelled flights. And there's a picture of this family waiting in a bloody in Heathrow, which is not the nicest of places to have to actually wait for 3 days to get your flight. They were actually sleeping on the floor, which is a terrible thing to happen. But yeah, this is the thing. The federal government's got to pull their finger out and do something about this. It's not good enough. And as I say, I actually agree with the opposition on this. I think we need to do more for people that are stranded OS. So there's a rarity for you. I'm actually giving a little bit of kudos to Albo and Christine Keneally, of all people. It doesn't feel right. I feel a little dirty doing it, but look, fair's fair. If I think they've come up with a decent policy, then I should basically acknowledge that, I think. And the next story up is about my old mate Dan Andrews. What a wonderful premier he's turned out to be. Well, of course, it appears as if Dan is a total pathological liar, which was no surprise for any politician to have that label attached to them. But this is really important, because this guy will not take personal responsibility for his bungled quarantine setup with that hotel, where you had people just going out into the street, and you had actual guards actually sleeping with the bloody people in the hotel. I mean, it was just a total schmozzle, and the government has to take responsibility for the way they set it up. Typical Labor bungling. They absolutely bungled the hotel quarantine. But of course, the thing is, his way of handling it is to actually turn this Victorian police force into a paramilitary force like the Stasi, going around beating up people. That seems to be his solution to it, and adding fines, which is another story I'll mention a little later. But he's not averse to basically punishing Victorians. He seems to enjoy it. I think he's a bit of a sadist, to be quite frank. But he's obviously a liar, given all the evidence of the offer of help from the federal government to provide ADF personnel for the quarantine hotel. The offer was definitely there, and yet Dan denies it. Well, that's just not good enough, Dan. Your credibility level is already pretty low, and this just lowers it one notch further. So I really do believe the knives will be out for you within the Labor Party, and it could happen before Christmas. And wouldn't that be a great day when we finally see the arse end of Daniel Andrews and his BS? Yeah, and those fines I was talking about, the fines are $5,000 per person if they travel to the bush during the lockdown in Melbourne. I mean, the only thing that Andrews seems to be able to work on is a punitive measure. There are better ways of getting Victorians to do the right thing. I have no problem with them isolating Melbourne people from the bush. I think that's a sensible idea, considering that the bush really hasn't had that much of an outbreak of the coronavirus. But then again, I don't believe in a lot of this anyway. I think we're forced towards the herd mentality situation. Whether we like it or not, it seems to be the way to go. Remember, New Zealand tried to stamp out coronavirus and failed abysmally because you can't do it. And they put the population through quite a bit of suffering in the interim. But at the end, basically it was herd immunity that kicked in. It's just going to happen. It's natural, and we're trying to go against the natural forces of a virus. It's crazy. But this is the hubris of the current crop of politicians. They think they can play God. And the last item I think is quite funny in a way. I mean, it shows how desperate Annastacia Palaszczuk's become. She's actually now said that Scott Morrison can't come to Queensland during the election campaign unless he goes into quarantine. Well, I've got some advice to you, Scott Morrison. I mean, you haven't got much of a spine, but maybe you should start to think about growing a pair and just get your private RAAF jet and go into Queensland anyway and stuff you, Anastacia, and accompany yourself with a platoon of ADF personnel that can protect you, and just thumb your nose up at her. You just put her in her place. She's only a premier. She thinks she's beyond that. She thinks she's now the high priestess of a land that she's holds domain over. I think she's actually really worried, because she actually mentioned that she may lose the election. She knows the writing is on the wall, and this is a desperate attempt to keep Morrison out, because she knows that anybody like that could cause electoral damage to her. And that's really all that matters as far as Anastacia is concerned. She doesn't give a crap about the welfare of people around her. She's more interested in surviving politically. And it's a trait that she shares with Dan Andrews. It's classic Labor Party, win at any cost, whatever it takes, the old Richo saying. I think she's a classic example of that. And she's got herself into strife because she hasn't had the guts to make decisions. She's basically tried to fob it off on Jeanette Young, who's aspiring to be a half-wit from what I can see. She's not exactly the brightest bulb in the light display. And Anastacia herself is dumb as a bag of hammers, in my opinion. So we're not talking about particularly smart people here. So I really believe if Morrison did that, he just took the jet there, said, stuff you, I'm the Prime Minister, I'm going to prove it to you that I am the Prime Minister, and use ADF staff. Why not? That is the Australian Army, not the Queensland Army, so stuff you, Anastacia. I think it's time that Scott asserted himself. It'd be good for him and good for the country if he did. And for God's sake, Scott, allow Australians to travel overseas without going through that BS application to get permission. It's total crap. And you really need to have a good hard look at yourself. And I'll tell you, if you did make some tough decisions, you'd get a lot of kudos from the electorate, I'm sure of that. Because we're fed up to the back teeth with weak leaders. I mean, we've got incredibly weak leaders like Anastacia, who's going to go into a crying fit. She doesn't get away, and calls Morrison a bully. Or we've got bloody borderline fascists like Daniel Andrews down in Victoria, who just relishes the power that he has over his citizenry. I think you're going to find that there's a bit of kickback in Victoria, in spite of the fact that they are pretty woke. That I think they're that he's going to find out that go woke, go broke as far as his political fortune is concerned. I'm only hoping. Anyway, that's enough for today. I just wanted to update you on the madness currently, because it is a crazy world we're living in, and I hope you're in good shape wherever you are. And the temperature here is probably about mid 20s. It was very windy out, so I tried to do some shooting but didn't get much done. And of course, please support the channel. I had a huge spike in viewers, about 2,500 for the video preceding the one that I did before, just before this. It's quite incredible. Just out of nowhere, 2,500 people watched. So that was very gratifying to see so many people. It's just the algorithm with YouTube. You know, if you happen to hit the right spot, you can get an incredible flow of people watching, which is good. But look, again, please subscribe to the channel. I've had about a 10% boost in subscriptions due to that huge jump in viewers, so that was amazing. But I could always do with more. Now the next goal is to hit 600, which does seem quite achievable. And once I get to 1K, then I could actually do some monetization of the channel. I'd rather not do it. I hate ads, so I might just do it in a fairly subtle way rather than go full hog. But that's a fair way off. That's more of a dream. It's mainly because I've got about $60 from the monetization when I was allowed to have it with less than 1,000 subscribers. But now they've raised the bar. You have to have at least 1,000 before you can monetize a YouTube channel. So that's why subscribers are so important to me. It's also nice to have the loyal viewers. And look, I mean, I've got a large number of subscribers, but I'm very happy with the people that have joined my channel and have chatted with me. It's been really gratifying. If people can get some stuff out of the videos I'm doing, I'm very happy about that. So again, please thumbs up, thumbs down, comment and subscribe if you feel you like what you see. And have a great day.